Hollywood spent years seeing Ellen DeGeneres as the face of kindness. She built an empire on laughter, generosity, and the promise of making people feel good. To millions of viewers, she was the cheerful host who danced onto the stage every afternoon and encouraged everyone to be kind. But as the years went on, that polished image began to crack. Stories from former employees, awkward celebrity interviews, and public criticism started painting a very different picture. Suddenly, the reputation that had taken decades to build was facing questions from every direction. Now, comedian Rob Schneider is speaking openly about the controversy, while Megyn Kelly has reignited the conversation by revisiting many of the accusations that surrounded Ellen's career. Their discussion didn't just revisit old headlines, it raised fresh questions about whether Ellen ever truly accepted responsibility for what happened. Rob even had some personal advice for Ellen that immediately caught viewers' attention. Before getting to that, it's important to understand why this debate has resurfaced in the first place. During an appearance on Megyn Kelly's show, Rob Schneider made it clear that he wasn't interested in softening his opinion. Rather than choosing careful words, he criticized what he believed was the gap between Ellen's public image and the stories that later emerged behind the scenes. That set the stage for a conversation that quickly revisited some of the most talked about moments of Ellen's career.
Yeah, that's disingenuous. That's disingenuous.
Yeah, disingenuous.
Disgenerous. That's disgenerous.
Megyn Kelly agreed with Rob's assessment and argued that the public's perception of Ellen didn't change overnight. Instead, she believed it shifted after a series of moments caused people to question the personality they had watched on television for years. One incident in particular stood out above the rest, the now famous interview with Dakota Johnson. During what was supposed to be a lighthearted exchange, Ellen joked that Dakota had failed to invite her to a birthday party. Instead of laughing along, Dakota calmly corrected her and explained that an invitation had actually been sent. The unexpected response instantly changed the tone of the interview. What started as a harmless joke suddenly became an uncomfortable exchange that spread across social media within hours. For many viewers, that clip represented more than just an awkward television moment. It encouraged people to revisit previous interviews and ask whether similar interactions had been overlooked in the past. Almost overnight, conversations about Ellen shifted from celebrating her humor to examining whether there was another side to the story.
Her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off and then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person. And all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview, she plays the victim. And she says, poor me. And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out.
Once public opinion started changing, even more stories began surfacing. Former employees, guests, and people claiming to have worked around the show shared experiences that painted a much different picture than the one audiences saw on screen. Megyn Kelly even referenced someone she personally knew whose family member allegedly worked on the show and described a workplace that felt far less welcoming than viewers imagined. Then social media amplified everything. Viral posts invited people to share their own encounters with Ellen, and thousands of responses poured in. While not every story could be independently verified, the sheer number of similar accounts kept the discussion alive. One widely shared post described an employee at a restaurant who claimed Ellen complained about chipped nail polish, nearly costing them their job. Whether every allegation was accurate or not, stories like these fueled the growing belief that Ellen's off-camera behavior didn't match her carefully crafted public image. As more accounts appeared, mainstream media picked up the story, and the controversy became impossible to ignore. The pressure continued building until Ellen's long-running daytime show eventually came to an end. Many assumed that would close the chapter, but it didn't. Instead, Ellen attempted to return with a Netflix comedy special, hoping to move beyond the controversy. Rather than ending the discussion, however, the special sparked another wave of criticism.
DeGeneres rewriting history, that's what some of her former staffers claim she's doing in her new Netflix stand-up special, For Your Approval.
I got kicked out of show business. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, because I'm mean. Yeah. Yeah, you can't be mean and be in show business. No, they'll kick you out.
She uses jokes to address the controversy.
I was in therapy for a while trying to deal with all the hatred that was coming at me, and at one point my therapist said, "Ellen, where do you get this idea that everyone hates you?" And I said, well, New York Times, Washington Post, Entertainment Weekly, Us Weekly. I think Elmo may have said something recently on an episode of Sesame Street.
But this producer who worked with her takes issue with how she's addressing allegations that there was a toxic work environment at her legendary talk show.
The essence of the special really was totally a lie.
Hedda Muscat says Ellen's special hits all the wrong notes.
I felt Ellen was not taking responsibility at all. She was sugarcoating it.
The Ellen DeGeneres Show went off the air after 19 seasons in May 2022, mired in controversy, including allegations of racism and sexual misconduct. Ellen addressed the allegations back in 2020.
And if I've ever let someone down, if I've ever hurt their feelings, I am so sorry for that.
In the special, Ellen describes the work environment she remembers.
It was a family to me. We had so much fun together at that show. We laughed all the time. We played games all the time.
I felt it was not a family. It was an atmosphere of fear.
We were in Santa Barbara. We drove by this place and someone's like, "That's where Ellen lives." And to Mary Beth, I just said, I think Ellen, every morning she wakes up, Portia's sitting there having a matcha. She definitely gives me matcha energy. And Ellen looks out over all of Santa Barbara and goes, I can't even do it. They tried to cancel me.
Instead of convincing critics that she had reflected on what happened, many felt the special minimized the concerns that had been raised over the years. Some viewers believed Ellen was treating a controversy that had seriously affected former employees as material for comedy. That reaction surprised many people because her public apology during the height of the workplace allegations had carried a much more serious tone. At the time, Ellen had expressed regret and apologized to those who felt they had been hurt. But when audiences watched the Netflix special, some believed her message had changed dramatically. Rather than focusing on accountability, they felt she was emphasizing how difficult the backlash had been for her personally. That shift became one of the biggest talking points surrounding the special and led directly into another strong criticism from Megyn Kelly.
I'm just so sorry.
You're not sorry, so stop acting. I got kids, I'm married, I know exactly what a real apology looks like. I know when I have to give one. It means you're remorseful down in your soul and your spirit. You deeply regret what you've done. You lack all of those qualities. You lack them all. And you are not remorseful. You are not even sorry about what's happening. You're just sorry you got caught. You're just sorry that all that you've worked so hard to build on your lie is now crumbling right before your eyes. And it's not even a rise and a fall. It's just who you truly are. And that's what you're sorry about. So you can keep that apology, because don't nobody want to hear it at all. That's not an apology at all. If you want a real apology, turn yourself in.
Megyn Kelly argued that Ellen's biggest mistake wasn't becoming wealthy or successful. According to her, the real issue was the way Ellen responded after the workplace controversy exploded. Kelly believed Ellen repeatedly framed herself as the person who had been wronged, instead of fully addressing why so many former employees had spoken out in the first place. That, in her view, made it difficult for many people to accept Ellen's attempts at rebuilding her reputation. She also questioned Ellen's repeated comments, suggesting she had been pushed out of Hollywood. From Kelly's perspective, someone with enormous financial success, multiple business ventures, and major streaming deals was hardly an example of someone completely shut out of the entertainment industry. To critics, those comments sounded disconnected from the experiences of ordinary people.
And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person
with $100 million in her pocket.
$450 million, according to Forbes. That's a low estimate.
Yeah.
Because so now she's out there saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, she's got, like 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama, look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Well, I think everyone I mean, I will say, like, the resentment, I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have been allowed back in, but I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen. To get over it, you have to deal with resentment and address it, and then otherwise you're going to fall back into the same pattern. And I think also to admit your mistakes.
Of all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she's fine.
Regardless of the exact size of Ellen's fortune, few would argue that she achieved remarkable success. Over the years, she built an entertainment empire, became known for buying and renovating luxury properties, and remained one of television's highest-paid personalities. But for many critics, money was never the central issue. Instead, the debate focused on accountability. When allegations about a toxic workplace first surfaced, Ellen maintained that she hadn't been aware of everything happening behind the scenes. While some people accepted that explanation, others questioned whether years of similar complaints from employees and guests could simply have gone unnoticed. Those doubts continued to follow her long after the initial controversy faded from the headlines. As more former guests reflected on their experiences, older interviews were viewed through an entirely different lens. Moments that once seemed playful were suddenly being re-examined with fresh scrutiny.
How does the Ellen we see on TV compare to the Ellen you saw when the camera stopped rolling?
Totally different. She would only speak to the audience when the cameras were rolling. As soon as they turned the cameras off, she would not even acknowledge the audience. She would just sit on the couch, basically. Even when she exited, she just said what she had to say on camera and then walked off.
Dana appeared in the Make It Rain segment, where guests can be drenched with money or water after they answer trivia questions. Wet and shivering, Dana says she was treated horribly by producers afterwards.
They told us they were gonna give us dry clothes to change into, so they had us waiting in a hallway by the bathroom, and it's almost like they forgot about us because we were waiting there for a good 45 minutes.
Among the interviews most frequently discussed was Ellen's 2008 conversation with Mariah Carey. At the time, pregnancy rumors surrounded the singer, but she had chosen not to confirm anything publicly. During the interview, Ellen repeatedly brought up the speculation and even attempted to encourage Mariah to respond on camera. Mariah appeared visibly uncomfortable and repeatedly avoided giving a direct answer. Years later, after revealing that she had suffered a miscarriage shortly after that period, many viewers looked back on the interview very differently. Critics argued that it demonstrated how easily entertainment could cross into deeply personal territory, while supporters insisted it reflected the style of daytime television at the time. Whatever perspective people held, the interview became another example regularly cited whenever discussions about Ellen's hosting style resurfaced. It also became another point that Rob Schneider addressed during his conversation with Megyn Kelly.
You and I both really know now that Miss Ellen, not as nice as she portrayed on TV. Now, the most awkward, uncomfortable, and borderline unethical interview that Ellen did has to be Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey was on the Ellen DeGeneres Show in 2008, and Ellen obviously has to pry and bring up the pregnancy rumors that were circulating at the time. She didn't just do that, though. In order to pressure an answer out of her, she made her drink champagne live on TV.
And then the other thing is that people are saying that that you're pregnant. There's rumors. Don't discuss that. All right, well, you don't...
Mariah didn't want to release that she was pregnant yet because she has had a history of having miscarriages, and it was way too early on. Shortly after the interview, Mariah suffered a miscarriage. She talks all about this in some interviews from 2020 and her book that came out, but that's honestly a very evil thing for someone like Ellen to do with her platform. And Mariah continuously brings up that how uncomfortable that moment made her. Whether or not it was real champagne doesn't really matter. It's the fact that she was pressuring her into answering.
Following that discussion, Rob suggested that one pattern kept repeating throughout Ellen's public career. In his opinion, whenever criticism intensified, the conversation often shifted toward how the controversy had affected Ellen herself. Whether viewers agreed with him or not, his comments echoed what many critics had already been saying online. Those observations led the discussion beyond Ellen's television career and toward events from much earlier in her life, including one of her most talked about relationships.
I think you should, I mean, there's certainly no lack of, I don't sense any humility
No.
in that.
No. And no one cares that now she's dealing with chickens. It's like, all right,
You're a normal $450 million person.
And by the way, I guarantee you she's
Who's
worth
taking
a
care
lot
of her
more.
chickens? I guarantee, what's that? You guarantee what?
She's worth a lot more than
yeah.
$450 million.
Her art alone.
And like those talk show hosts.
Her devil-worshipping art alone.
It's just, it's too much. I can't stand these rich celebrities who want us to feel sorry for them. We don't, right? It's like all those you saw, like Julia Roberts on the Oprah special with Kamala Harris.
Long before the workplace controversy, Ellen had spoken publicly about difficult periods in her career. After coming out as gay, she described feeling isolated professionally and personally, believing Hollywood had turned away from her. Many people acknowledged those struggles and recognized the significance of what she experienced during that era. Around that same time, however, her relationship with actress Anne Heche also came to an end. Initially, both women publicly described the breakup in respectful terms. Years later, though, Anne offered a much different perspective, sharing claims about the relationship that attracted significant media attention. Her comments reignited interest in a chapter of Ellen's past that many people thought had long been closed. Instead of fading into history, those interviews once again became part of the larger debate surrounding Ellen's public image.
But years later, Anne told a very different story.
We're moving into a next step, hopefully. And hopefully I have some more intelligence, I know I do, around it because I've studied it to be able to communicate a little bit better about what happened 20 years ago and the fact that it's taken us 20 years to be able to be at a point where we can listen to the truth again.
And Ellen's fine. She can sit on her pile of money.
I hope you like your money because that's why I broke up with you. Do you like sitting on your piles of cash? Because guess what? It gets you exactly where you are. And by the way, baby, and it's what you wanted then, and I hope you're liking it now. Cheers.
You broke up with her because she had a lot of money, or you broke up with her because...
I broke up with her because her goal was to have a lot of money, and mine was to find love, and hers was I want 60 billion. Good luck. Our forks are never going to meet. The further we stay on with this, the further we will be apart.
Okay. She didn't live in that loving kindness,
No,
did
she didn't. But you and I don't talk about...
She wasn't a
revenge a lot, you know.
No, we don't. There's one thing that I remember. There is one little nugget that I do have a sense of wanting a little bit of.
Anne claimed that Ellen had been controlling during their relationship and further alleged that Ellen's influence within Hollywood affected opportunities after their breakup. Those claims received widespread attention, although Ellen publicly denied many characterizations made about her over the years. Regardless of where the truth ultimately lies, Anne's interviews added another layer to an already complicated public narrative. By this point, criticism surrounding Ellen was no longer limited to one controversy. Instead, multiple stories from different periods of her career were being revisited simultaneously, creating an even broader conversation about her legacy. Then, the situation became even more serious when attention shifted beyond Ellen herself and toward allegations involving several senior members of her daytime television show. As investigations into the workplace culture surrounding the Ellen DeGeneres Show continued, the spotlight expanded beyond Ellen herself. Former employees also raised allegations involving several senior producers connected to the program. Those claims prompted Warner Media to launch an internal investigation, placing the show's leadership under intense public scrutiny. While the executives involved denied wrongdoing, the investigation ultimately resulted in major staffing changes and became another turning point in the show's history. Not long after the show came to an end, Ellen found herself connected to another story that quickly gained widespread attention. In August 2022, her former partner, Anne Heche, was involved in a tragic car crash in Los Angeles that claimed her life days later. Authorities officially ruled the incident accidental following their investigation, but that didn't stop speculation from spreading across social media. Because Anne had spoken openly about her relationship with Ellen in previous interviews and had reportedly been working on new projects before her passing, online discussions rapidly filled with theories that extended far beyond the official findings. Videos, commentary channels, and social media posts dissected every available detail, leading many people to ask questions that investigators had already addressed. It's important to separate online speculation from verified facts. The official investigation concluded that the crash was accidental, and there was no confirmed evidence supporting claims of foul play. Even so, the internet continued debating the case, proving once again how quickly high-profile tragedies can become the subject of endless speculation. Before those conversations had a chance to fade, another heartbreaking loss involving someone closely associated with Ellen shocked both Hollywood and her fan base.
Standing in front of the house where actress Anne Heche crashed her car back in August 2022. crash that has left more questions than answers. That morning, Anne walked into a hair shop in Venice, California. The owner said she walked in, saw a red wig up on the shelf, wanted the red wig. He told her it wasn't styled. She said no worries, made the purchase. He recognized who she was and asked for a selfie. They took a selfie together, which is still up on his Instagram. The owner of the wig shop, Richard Glass, said that she was completely normal, didn't seem impaired, she wasn't slurring her words, thought the interaction seemed completely normal. Just after that seemingly normal encounter, she was captured behind the wheel of her blue Mini Cooper and was also involved with 2 hit-and-run incidents earlier that morning before the crash. In this photo taken from the scene of one of the hit-and-runs, you can see the red wig on her passenger seat as well as what looks like a vodka bottle in the cup holder of her car. To most people, that photo looks like proof that she was drinking. But here's the thing. According to the coroner's toxicology report, there was no alcohol in her system reported during the time of the crash. No active drugs were found either, just small traces of cocaine and cannabinoids from prior use. So if she wasn't intoxicated, why was she driving like she was running from something? Anne's car was captured on doorbell camera footage, zooming down this street at an extremely high rate of speed. As you can see, there's a stop sign here. She blew completely through that stop sign, somehow managed not to hit any oncoming traffic. This is a very busy street, and plowed straight into this home right here, and was trapped so deep inside that the house and the car caught fire, and she wasn't able to be rescued for 45 minutes. Most disturbing part of this case is aerial helicopter footage showed Anne Heche being put onto a stretcher. You can see a body in some type of bag on a stretcher being wheeled into the back of an ambulance, when all of a sudden the zipper breaks open and you see Anne Heche emerge suddenly out of this body bag, what looks like a body bag, and prop herself up as if she's trying to get off the stretcher or get out of the bag. They push her back down and she's put into the back of the ambulance.
Only months later, news broke that Stephen Twitch Boss, the beloved dancer, DJ, and executive producer of The Ellen DeGeneres Show, had passed away at the age of 40. Authorities determined that his death was self-inflicted, and investigators reported no evidence of foul play. Despite those official conclusions, countless theories immediately appeared online, with many people attempting to connect his passing to previous controversies surrounding the show. Those theories have never been supported by credible evidence. The official findings remain unchanged, and there is no verified information linking his death to the workplace controversy or any criminal activity. Still, the timing of the tragedy caused many internet users to revisit older headlines involving Ellen, keeping her name in public conversations even after her show had ended. By this stage, Ellen's legacy had become deeply divided. Some people continue to remember her as the groundbreaking television host who entertained audiences for nearly 2 decades and helped launch countless charitable initiatives. Others focused on the workplace allegations, controversial interviews, and criticism from former employees and celebrities, believing those stories permanently changed the way they viewed her career. Regardless of which perspective people hold, there's little doubt that Ellen's public image looks very different today than it did at the height of her daytime television success.
Following years of controversy, Ellen largely stepped away from Hollywood and embraced a much quieter lifestyle. In late 2024, she and Portia de Rossi reportedly relocated to the United Kingdom, choosing to spend much of their time away from the constant media attention that had followed them for years. Reports have also linked the couple to luxury property purchases in California, although those have generally been described as temporary stays while they continue living primarily overseas. At the same time, industry reports suggest Ellen could eventually return to one of the roles that made her beloved by audiences around the world, the voice of Dory. If those reports prove accurate, it could mark her first major Hollywood project since stepping back from daytime television. Whether that return is embraced by audiences remains to be seen. For some viewers, Ellen's legacy will always be defined by her years of success and the impact she had on television. For others, the workplace controversy and the criticism that followed will continue to shape how they remember her career. One thing is certain, few celebrities have experienced such a dramatic shift in public perception. From being celebrated as one of television's kindest personalities to becoming the center of one of Hollywood's most talked about controversies, Ellen's story continues to spark debate. Whether her next chapter changes that narrative or simply adds another layer to it is something only time will reveal. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.